This is part 2 in a series of videos where I'm painting a dry pine on Coeur d'Alene Lake. Well, hello again. I'm out here near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We took a road trip and visited beautiful Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene Lake is a beautiful, clean, big lake in the northern part of Idaho, up in the northern panhandle. In part 1, I took a short walk around Higgins Point, a pretty park on the northeast side of Coeur d'Alene Lake. Alright, well, I'm back at it again over here in Coeur d'Alene. Luckily the weather is really nice. I've got 2 days of almost full sun, so I was able to stop yesterday when the sun had come around and the light had changed so much, and get started again roughly the same time this morning on the painting. Here's where I am on the painting. I've got the sky, the distant mountain, the middle ground mountains, and the tree and the water pretty much roughed in. This is still the original wash, the foreground, beach and rocks, just washed in at this moment with some of the lightest lights wiped away. So I'm going to clean up the background just a little bit. It's a little rough looking at it here in the full sunlight, so I'm going to touch it up just a little bit and then detail the tree just a little bit more, and then I'll move into this rocky beach, and that should finish it up while I still have the light where it started yesterday morning, fully on the scene, lighting up that scene. And I want to leave myself enough time to capture some of the variation, the textures, the colors, the values of that rocky beach. I think that's what really drew me to the scene originally, was that tan and dark brown earth tone beach in front of that kind of glowing blue water. I like that line between. I think it's pretty interesting, so I'm hoping I can capture that in the painting. And I also like the way that tree juts up against the blue of the sky. I thought that was interesting as well. Well, I'm going to get set up and get started. Thank you for joining me. Here I'm laying out my colors. I scoop them out of the little airtight container I show it in another episode. I got it off of Amazon. Pretty nice little way to keep your oil paints wet and to save what you don't use during a plein air session. I use a small wooden flat palette as well, an additional palette that I can hold while I'm painting. I start by mixing some cerulean blue, cobalt blue, and Gamblin radiant white, mixing up the color that matches the sky, both the sky I see out in front of me and the sky that I have down on the painting, and touch up the sky from yesterday just a little bit. Here I'm using an older Utrecht soft synthetic brush, one that I can splay the bristles out on, and picking up some pure color to just touch the canvas lightly and create pine needles. I'm working back on the sky and those distant snow-covered mountains again. I work back and forth a little bit on the foreground and the background, trying to get interesting edges and a good balance. Also a good sense of depth. See, I have a little bit of paint on that palette propped up in front of me. The paint sticks to the palette even when it's propped up vertical like that, and it makes it easy to either hold it in my hand or to set it on my easel and just swipe the brush across it. A palette knife or a painting knife with just a thin layer of diluted oil paint on the edge works very nicely to make thin lines. I've mixed up some darker colors now for the foreground rocks and shadows. Burnt umber, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, all of my darker, mostly transparent colors. I've mixed those up now, and with the flat of the painting knife, I brush those on quickly. I'm working from background to foreground and from dark to light. Pretty traditional for oil paints. Now using a Rosemary Ivory synthetic, a small one that works nicely. I'm painting in some of those lighter tones of the rocks in the foreground. Here I'm placing some of the lighter value paint in the foreground using the palette knife. finished. It was a really pretty day here on Coeur Lake. Beautiful area, pretty different from where I normally paint in the wet side of the Cascades, the west side of the Cascades. There's a lot of rain. It's really mossy and lush overgrowth there. This is more dry, rocky, almost desert-like environment. Let me show you the painting. Here's how it ended up. 11 by 14 oil painting. This area here in the foreground, I got the sweep I wanted, and I got the tan against the blue bands of color. This came out really abstract. I'm not sure if I was a little bit tired, a little bit sleep deprived, but I just didn't have the patience to try to paint each and every rock with a paintbrush, so I went at it with a palette knife. I'll take a look at it again in the studio. Right now it looks a little bit rough to me, but sometimes when I'm a little bit tired from painting on something for a few hours, I get tired of looking at it, and it doesn't make me happy. Right now I'm a little bit dissatisfied with it. I think it's a little too rough, but maybe if I get it under some better light. This is pretty strong side light, beaten down, kind of throwing a lot of shadows from the edges of the paint at the moment. You know, maybe if I get it back in the studio and take a look at it again, I'll like it a little bit better. But, you know, they can't all be masterpieces. Not that I had that many masterpieces, but some I like better than others. And some I like better when I put them away for a bit and then look at them again. I do kind of like how you get the sweep of the landscape in the painting that came across. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed watching the process of making this painting, and join me again for the next one. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you out on the trail. As I was hiking back to the truck, I came across this pretty scene and painted it as well. Please take a look at my website if you'd like to see a higher resolution image. While you're there, please join my newsletter. You'll get an occasional email from me with an update on my artwork and activities, and some special offers once in a great while. Thanks again.